Okay, in this video, we are going to focus on how we are going to run one-way ANOVA using JASP. And here, if you would want to determine whether there are any statistically significant differences between the means of three or more independent groups, we can use what we refer to as one-way analysis of variance, or simply referred to as one-way ANOVA. And here, when we were comparing, or when we are comparing more than two independent groups, if you can recall, we have covered in one of our previous modules how to run independent samples t-test using JASP, wherein we were comparing the means of two groups or conditions. Okay. Whereas t-tests here compare the means of two groups or conditions, one-way ANOVA compares the means of three or more groups or conditions. So the moment we have more than two groups that are being compared, then we cannot use t-test, but instead we will opt to use for one-way ANOVA, which has been described as an omnibus test, which results in an F statistic that compares whether the data set's overall explained variance would be significantly greater than the unexplained variance. Okay? And the null hypothesis tested is that there is no significant difference between the means of all of the groups. If the null hypothesis is rejected, then ANOVA just states that there is a significant difference between the groups, but it does not tell us where those differences would occur. Okay, now to determine where the group differences are, we need to perform what we refer to as post hoc tests, which is from the Latin word post hoc, meaning after this, okay, which will be run, or which are subsequently used. Now, what are the things, or what are the conditions we have to keep in mind in order for us to run one-way ANOVA? So here are the basic requirements of the one-way ANOVA. First, we have one dependent variable that is measured at the continuous level. That is either in the ratio or in the interval level. Okay, and then we have one independent variable, which consists of technically three or more categorical independent groups. Okay, now typically a one-way ANOVA is used when you have three or more categorical independent groups, but it can also be used for just two groups. Okay, however, although here an independent samples t-test would be more commonly used for two groups that we are comparing, as what we've pointed out earlier. Now, for the third condition or assumption is that there is what we call independence of observations, which means that there is no relationship between the observations in each group of the independent variable or between the groups themselves. That is to ensure we have independence of observations. Those who would belong in the first group cannot belong in the second or in the third group at the same time. Okay, so we use different elements or different individuals belonging in the different groups. Now, also for the fourth assumption, that is, there should be no significant outliers in the groups of your independent variable in terms of the dependent variable. And the fifth assumption, there should be approximately normally distributed for each group of the independent variable. And the last, there is what we call homogeneity of variance between the groups. Otherwise, the p-value for the F statistic may not be reliable. Okay. Now we take note that the first three assumptions we've had are usually controlled using the appropriate research method design. And the last three that we have here are if these three, or if any of these three are violated, then the non-parametric equivalent, which is what we refer to as the Kruskal-Wallis H test, should be considered instead. Okay, now what research method design we're in, we can use one-way ANOVA. Here, if you would want to determine if there are differences between three or more independent groups, okay? Also determining if there are differences between three or more conditions or treatments, right? And determining if there are differences in change scores, okay, among three or more independent groups. Okay, let's have some of the examples here. Say you would want to compare exam performance among students when grouped according to test anxiety levels. In this scenario, our dependent variable would be exam performance. Let's say it's measured from 0 to 100. And our independent variable is test anxiety level, which will have, in this case, three groups: low stress students, moderately stressed students, and highly stressed students. Okay, so we can use here one-way ANOVA to see if there will be differences in their exam performance between the three different groups of test anxiety level where the student belongs to. Let's have another example. Say you would want to understand whether there is a difference in salary based on the degree that the student graduated from. Okay, our dependent variable in this case would be salary, and then the independent variable with the degree. And let's consider five groups, for example. So those who graduated from business studies, psychology, biological sciences, engineering, and law. Okay, so we'll be comparing the salaries, okay, based on the degree from where they have graduated from, right? Now, what is this post hoc testing, as what we mentioned earlier? Now, the moment the ANOVA result would be significant, then we would want to investigate further as to which pair of groups would significantly differ with one another. And that is done by what we refer to as post hoc testing. Now, in here, post hoc tests are tests that are decided upon after the data have been collected, which can only be carried out if the ANOVA F test is actually significant. Okay. Now here, basically JAS would be providing us with five alternatives for use with the independent group ANOVA tests, and that would be we have what we call Bonferroni post hoc testing. Okay, which can be very conservative but gives guaranteed control over type 1 error at the risk of reducing statistical power. This one does not assume independence of the comparisons. Home, or the home Bonferroni test, which is a sequential Bonferroni method that is less conservative than the original Bonferroni test that we have. Another post hoc test that you may use, okay, which is basically one of the most commonly used tests, which is what we will be using, okay, in our analysis. So Tukey post hoc testing is one of the most commonly used tests and provides controlled type 1 error for groups with the same sample size and equal group variance. Right? Now, then we also have Shefe, which controls for the overall confidence level when the group sample sizes are different. You can also use SIDAC, similar to Bonferroni, but assumes that each comparison is independent of the others, which is slightly more powerful than Bonferroni. Now, we use two key post hoc tests if the result of the one-way ANOVA that we have is significant, given that we have met the assumption for the homogeneity of variances. Okay. However, if the homogeneity of variances is violated, we cannot use two key post hoc tests. Instead, we are going to use what we call Games-Howell post hoc test. So here, this is used when you are unsure about the equality of group variances. So, mean to say, if there are violations with the homogeneity of variance test, okay, then we proceed to look at Welsh F ANOVA, and if that is significant, we proceed to use the Games-Howell post hoc test. Right? Now, we also have Donets, okay, which is used to compare all the groups to one group. Okay, let's say if you have a control group, okay? And we also have Done, a non-parametric post hoc test used for testing small subsets of pairs. Now, with all of the post hoc tests that we have presented, okay, so it's important we take note of the following. If the homogeneity of variances is met, okay, we use the standard two-key post hoc test when the standard ANOVA result is deemed to be significant. Okay? And in the case that the homogeneity of variance is violated, we use Games-Howell post hoc test when we look at now our Welsh result. If that is significant, then we use Games-Howell for the post hoc testing. Okay, so you take note of that. We will In our procedure later on, we will give emphasis when to use the Tukey and Games Howell. Okay, depending on having met the homogeneity of variances assumption or condition. Okay. Now, also, we don't forget what we refer to as the effect size. So JASP is able to provide us with three alternative effect size calculations for use with independent group ANOVA tests. Okay, so we have what we call eta squared. Then we also have the partial eta squared and the omega squared. Okay. However, in our case, we will be using ang eta squared, which is accurate for the sample variance explained, but it overestimates the population variance. This can make it difficult to compare the effect of a single variable in different studies. Okay? Then we also have what we call partial eta squared, which solves the problem relating to population variance overestimation, allowing for comparison of the effect of the same variable in different studies. We also have omega squared, which normally statistical bias gets very small as sample size increases. However, for small samples, that is less than 30, omega squared provides an unbiased effect size measure, right? Now, in our case, we will be using eta squared for the effect size. And again, we refer to the effect size table that we have here. Okay. So again, we take note of the eta squared measure. If the value is less than 0.1, we have a trivial effect size. If that is zero point 0.1 to 0.25, then we have a small effect size. Between 0.25 and 0.37, we have medium effect size, and greater than 0.37, we have a large effect size. Right? So we will keep in mind all these important components later on as we proceed to run using JASP, okay, our one-way ANOVA in the example that we have included within our module. Now, the file that we're going to use is a one-way ANOVA.jasp file, right? That can be found in our Canvas module. Now, to give us an overview of the example that we're going to use here, a researcher believes that individuals who are more physically active are better able to cope with stress in the workplace. Now, to test this, the researcher asked 31 respondents and measured how many minutes of physical activity they performed per week and their ability to cope with workplace stress. The respondents were categorized into four groups, which has something to do with their physical activity. So we have sedentary meaning no exercise done, okay, or low physical activity, moderate physical activity, and high physical activity group. Okay, so in our data in JASP later on, we will have it in a separate video on how to perform one-way ANOVA using JASP. So the first column that you will see pertains to the group, okay, or the four physical activity groups. Now, the second column here is labeled as CWWS, okay, which is the ability to cope with workplace stress score, assessed as the average score of a series of Likert items on a questionnaire, which allowed an overall coping with workplace stress score. Okay, and are we going to give meaning to that scoring later on? That is, higher scores would indicate a greater ability to cope with workplace-related stress. So we see in our data file, the second column is labeled as CWWS, which stands for Coping with Workplace Stress Scores. Okay? Now, what we wish to answer, okay, when we run the procedure in JASP is that, is there a significant difference in the coping with workplace stress score between groups of different physical levels? Okay, so we formulate our hypothesis. That is, there is no significant difference in the coping with workplace stress score between groups of different physical levels. Okay, and alternative hypothesis correspondingly would be there is a significant difference in the coping with workplace stress score between groups of different physical levels. Okay, let's identify our variables. Now, our dependent variable, the one that we are measuring, is the coping with workplace stress score. So the scores that we have generated in the Likert scale items or questionnaire that we've or that the researcher had provided for the respondents. And the independent variable will be the groups of different physical levels, that there are four of them: sedentary, low, moderate, and high. Okay, so with this, with the nature of our data, the statistical test to be used is one-way ANOVA, which will further be justified later on as we proceed to do some assumption checks. Okay, now here the following instructions will show, okay, how to run one-way ANOVA using JAST ANOVA procedure. Okay, you will be shown also how to run the test that allows there to be unequal variances, which we refer to as Welsh ANOVA, and how to run a post hoc test that will follow after that. Okay, and here this will result in a set of parallel results. That is one, wherein if we have met the assumption for homogeneity of variances, or the other one if it is violated. Okay. Now here, let us run or load the file, right? Loading the file, ang one-way ANOVA.jasp file. Okay. So once we load our file in JASP, we go to ANOVA. Okay, so we click on ANOVA and then choose ANOVA under classical. Okay, and with that, we will be presented with the following window, okay, on the left side. So we put the CWWS into our dependent variable and the group, okay, into our fixed factors box. Okay, so we take note of that. Now, in the first instance, we tick the descriptive statistics that we see here for the display and the estimates of effect size. Now, we have to choose eta squared. Okay, so we take note of this one, right? And this will be shown on the window, okay, which is right beside this window that we see here. Okay, and that window will give us also the values or the ANOVA values that we will have, or the estimates that we will have, including the effect sizes. Now, before we proceed further, okay, we need to generate what we refer to as our descriptive statistics table. Now, here, this table is generated, okay, wherein it will present the mean, the standard deviation, and also the coefficient of variation, wherein we click on, in the descriptive plots, okay, we transfer group to the horizontal axis, and we click on display error bars, the one that you see here, okay? And the confidence interval at 95%, this will generate the distribution of the means of the different groups. So from this, okay, we will have our descriptive plot or our visual representation, which will generate the plot of the coping with workplace stress score means of the different physical activity groups. Okay, so under sedentary, okay, so we see here, this one is its corresponding mean, low physical activity group, okay, moderate, and then high, okay? That is bounded by 95% confidence interval, okay? Now, we also proceed to check the assumption checks, or to refer to the assumption checks. In assumption checks, we take the following options. That is the homogeneity tests, okay? And then the QQ plot of residuals, okay? Now, here, take notice that the homogeneity will have certain corrections in case the assumption for homogeneity is violated, okay? Now, if the value or the p-value of the homogeneity tests, okay, that is under the test for equality of variances under Levene's, that is, if the p-value is greater than 0.05, the assumption for homogeneity of variances is met. Then we are going to choose none. Okay, so we to say no corrections are needed because we have not violated the assumption for the homogeneity test the moment the p-value that we see there is greater than 0.05. However, if the p-value is less than 0.05 under Levene's tests for equality of variances, that will indicate that the assumption for homogeneity of variances is not met or is violated. Okay? So we will need corrections if we have violated the homogeneity of variance test. That is, we are going to choose Welsh under homogeneity corrections. Okay? So another row of values will be presented the moment you click on Welsh. Right? Now, here, before accepting the results, any violations in the assumptions required for an ANOVA or for a one-way ANOVA should be checked. Okay? So again, when we generate the homogeneity test here, okay, this table will be generated. So we refer to the p-value. Now, if this p-value is greater than 0.05, okay, we're going to choose none. Meaning to say, we have not violated the assumption. Okay, however, okay, if the p-value is less than 0.05, sorry, if it's less than 0.05, meaning to say you have violated the assumption. So you're going to choose Welsh. Here, you don't see that the Welsh is ticked because the homogeneity of variances is met. Okay, so we will check none. No need to generate the Welsh ANOVA the moment the homogeneity of variance test is met or is not violated. Okay? Now we proceed. Now what about this QQ plot? When you take the QQ plot, this diagram here that you see will be generated. Okay? The QQ plot shows that the data appear to be normally distributed and linear since the data points are found near the diagonal line. So that is what we want. Okay? We are approximating, remember, we are simply approximating the normal distribution of our data the moment the data points are close or are clustered along the diagonal line. Okay? So in this case here, by visual inspection, we can say that our distribution or the data distribution is approximately normally distributed. Right? Now, we refer to our ANOVA table. Okay, so the ANOVA table that we will be generating will look like this. Now, since the assumption for homogeneity of variances is met, so we refer to our main ANOVA table, which will show us our F statistic, okay? And our F statistic, here are the F values, 8.316, with the corresponding value, p-value of less than 0.001. Now, here, our F value is found to be significant because the p-value here is less than 0.001. Okay, and looking at our eta squared, we have 0.480, which indicates a large effect size. Okay, so going back, if the p-value is less than 0.001, our decision is to reject the null. Rejecting the null hypothesis would lead us to conclude that there is a significant difference between the means of the coping with workplace stress scores of the different physical activity groups. And take note how we are going to include the statistical parameters in our interpretation later on. Okay? That is, we will have our degrees of freedom 1, degrees of freedom 2, and then we copy our F value. Then don't forget the P value and also the effect size, or that is our eta squared value. Okay? Now, in here, right, if the ANOVA reports no significant difference, then you can go no further in the analysis, meaning there's no need to do post-hoc test. But if the p-value or if the ANOVA value that you have here is significant, then you need to proceed to do a post-hoc test. In our example, looking at the table, right, there is a significant difference in the means of the physical activity groups. Therefore, we need to do the post-hoc analysis. Okay? Now, how are we going to generate the post-hoc table? Right? To do a post-hoc analysis, we click on post-hoc tests. Okay, so refer to this, the post-hoc test. Now, transform group, okay, to the right using the arrow, right? And then in here, it will display or click on, or what you can do here, by default, JASP already checked the standard 2 key. Okay, remember the assumption for Levene's test for equality of variances is met, so this 2 key will be used. But if it's not met, then we're going to use the Games-Howell. So use the Games-Howell when the assumption for Levene's test for equality of variances is violated. Don't forget to click on flag significant comparisons so that it will be easy for us to determine later on which pair of groups differed significantly. because it's going to mark it. Okay? So here, the generated post hoc test table using Tukey will be the following. Okay, so remember we flagged significant difference results. That is, you will see asterisk. So you see this asterisk here. Okay, so this asterisk here pertains to the pair of groups, sedentary and moderate. Okay, what is this mean difference? Why is it negative 2.972? That means to say the mean of the sedentary group minus the mean of the moderate group is negative 2.972, indicating that the moderate group, okay, had higher coping with workplace stress score as compared to the sedentary group. And that is significant because the p-value is less than 0.05. That is, the p-value is 0.002. Now, similarly, we also notice that we see three asterisks here. The three asterisks pertains to the p-value being less than 0.001. So, mean to say it's also significant at 0.001. Okay? Now, here that is referring to the pair of groups between sedentary and high. So, sedentary, the mean of the sedentary group minus the mean of the coping with workplace stress score of the high physical activity group, okay, is negative 3.354, indicating that those who have high physical activity, okay, had higher coping with workplace stress score as compared to those who don't do any physical activity or those who are belonging in the sedentary group, okay, with a p-value of less than 0.001. Okay, now, in here, okay, so in here, the two key post hoc tests revealed that the coping with workplace stress score among those in the moderate physical activity group is significantly higher than those in the sedentary physical activity group, as indicated by the mean difference that we see. And those in the high physical activity group has significantly higher coping with workplace stress scores than those in the sedentary physical activity group. Okay, don't forget their p-values. Now, only these two pairs of groups have differences or significant differences. Hence, we indicate that no other group differences were observed. Right? Now, let's put together. Okay, and let's present our results using the APA table. Here, we see the comparison of the coping with workplace stress scores between groups of physical activity levels. So we see the four groups here, okay, with their means and standard deviation, okay, with the degrees of freedom, the corresponding F value, and then the P value. Okay, then we interpret that is we have a significant result. Okay, so how do we put everything? Okay, or how do we combine everything to report the results? So we indicate here that a one-way ANOVA was conducted, okay, to determine if the ability to cope with workplace related stress score was different for groups with different physical activity levels. Okay, and that we have sedentary, low, moderate, and high levels of physical activity groups. There were no outliers, as what we saw on our assumption checks, and data was approximately normally distributed as assessed by the QQ plot, and there was homogeneity of variances as assessed by the Levene's test of homogeneity of variances, wherein the p-value is greater than 0.05, which is 0.120. Now, the coping with workplace stress score was statistically significantly different between different physical activity groups with our parameters here, okay, indicating a large effect size because our eta squared is 0.480. Furthermore, two key post hoc tests revealed that the coping with workplace stress score among those in the moderate physical activity group is significantly higher than those in the sedentary physical activity group, with the corresponding p-value of 0.002. Also, those in the high physical activity group has significantly higher coping with workplace stress score than those in the sedentary physical activity group with a p-value of less than 0.001, and no other group differences were observed. So this is how we present our one-way ANOVA results. Okay, given assumptions of the use of one-way ANOVA were met. Right? So we end our discussion here on a one-way ANOVA using JASP.